Hello guys, welcome back to our Python fundamental course for beginners. So this is the module number 6 and today we are going to see Python loops. So first of all we are going to see what are the loops. So a loop is a programming construct that allow you to execute a block of code repeatedly. So when we have to do a repetitive task then we use loops. So it will execute a block of code again and again. So loops are useful for performing repetitive tasks such as iterating over a list or processing a large amount of data. So we are going to see list in our further videos. Just it is perform repetitive tasks. Okay. So now types of Python loops. So there are two types of Python loops. First one is for loop. A for loop are used to iterate over a sequence of elements such as a list or tuple. So for loop is used when we know the amount of time we have to perform a task, like for what time or how many times we have to execute that block of code. When we know that, then we can use for loop. But we don't when we don't know how many times we have to perform a repetitive task, then we use while loops. So while loops are used to execute a block of code repeatedly while a condition is true. So until the condition is true, the while loop will execute a block of code again and again. Okay. So now we are going to see for loops. So what is for loops? So for loops are used to iterate over a sequence of elements such as list or tuple. So list or tuple, we are going to see all these things in our further videos. After that, the syntax for loop is as follows. So first of all, this is the for loop syntax. So first of all, we are going to see this. So this is the syntax for loop. So we are going to use this for keyword. Then we are going to see we are going to use variable, and in is the keyword in Python, and sequence means from where we have to iterate. So we can use here a loop. We can use list or tuple from which we can iterate over that list or tuple. So this is the syntax, and at last we use this colon. So now after that, what will happen? So after that, using that colon, we can give a block of code which will iterate over that for loop. The variable will take on the value of each element in the sequence one by one. So it will iterate over that list or tuple, and it will take that value on that variable. So the code block will execute for each element in the sequence. So it will execute until the sequence is end. Okay, so now we are going to see example of a for loop. So this is our for loop, and this is the example of for loop. So first of all, this is my list is a variable. We have created a list. This is the assignment operator. We are going to see what is loop, what is list. So this is the assignment operator. We have created one list, and in that list we have entered five elements. After that, we have to iterate over the list and print each element. So when we have to iterate over that list, and when we want to take the that elements, then we use for loop. So now how we can use for loop? So here we can use for keyword. Element is a variable for element in. So we can use anything here. So we can create a variable on our own for like we can use for I in my list. Okay, so for element in my list colon, and after that we will going to print element. So here we can use this print element by using indentation. So this is the print element, and when we run that code we will get this output. So it will repeatedly execute that code. So first of all, there will be one, then it will the element value will be 1. After that, it will print the value, and then we will get 1. After that, it will iterate over that list, and then element value will be 2. Then it will print, then 3, 4, likewise it will print until 5th. Okay, so now we are going to see while loops. So while loops are used to execute a block of code repeatedly while the condition is true. So while the condition is true, it will repeatedly execute that block of code. It is also similar So the syntax of while loop is simple and similar to for loop. So first of all, we are going to use while keyword. Then we will provide one condition and then we use a colon. After that, we are going to give a block of code which will going to execute when the condition is true. So now the condition will be evaluated before the code block is executed. So it will check the condition is true, then it will execute, otherwise it will not execute. So if the condition is true, the code block will be executed. So it is, we have already seen that the code block will be executed repeatedly until the condition becomes false. So when the condition becomes false, it will not execute. So now we are going to see a while loop example. So we are going to see example of a while loop. So now first of all, this is the program. So we are, what is our program? We have to print the values from 1 to 10. So we have to print 1 to 10 values. So first of all, we have taken one, we have created one variable count, and we have assigned value 0. So we have assigned 0 to our count variable. After that, what is the work of this code? Print the numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, now we know that how many times we have to perform this task. So it will be from 0 to less than 10. So while, so we have to check the condition while count is now 0, while count is less than 10, we have to perform the task. Then we have given the colon, and now we are going to provide, we are going to print the numbers by using print statement, and we have to provide indentation to run the code without any error. Now we have printed the number like print count plus 1. So now you are confused why we have given count plus 1, because our count variable value is, first of all, it will be 0. So now while 0 is less than 10, yes, so it will be true. So it will print 0 plus 1. So what will be printed? 0 plus 1 means it will print 1. Okay, so now it will printed 1. After that, now we are going to, if now we have to increment the value. If we don't increment the value, then this will be execute infinite times. So it will be become a infinite loop. So it will not end until the memory of your PC will be completely full. So it can be hang your PC, and your PC can be, your PC memory can be full. So to avoid this, we have to increment the value of count. So count plus 1. So now we are going to see how it will be executed. First of all, we are going to check value while 0 is less than 10. So because the 0 is the value of count before executing this code, so 0 is less than 10, yes, so it will print 0 plus 1 is 1. So it will print it 1. After that, it will count variable will be incremented by 1. So now count, now 0 plus 1 become 1, and 1 plus 1, sorry, so it will become 1, and after that it will again go to this line. After that, it will check 1 is less than 10, so it will go towards this, and after that it will print 1 plus 1 is 2, so it will print 2, and after that it will again go to this line, and now it will increment the value of count. So now count value will be 2. So now likewise it will run until the value of that count will be 10. So now when the value of that count will be 10, so it will check is 10 is less than 10, so no, it is false, so now it will not execute it. So this is the example of while loop, and it will print values from 1 to 10. So this is very simple program we have taken here. Now nested loops. What are the nested loops? So we have seen the nested conditional statements. Now we are going to see nested loops. So you can also nest loops, meaning that you can put one loop inside of another loop. So loop inside loop inside loop. So it will go so on. So now this can be useful for performing complex repetitive tasks. So this is the basic course. So we are not going to cover all these topics nested loop, because this is a complex things. So now we are going to see one example of nested loop. So how it will be. perform. So now we have created one list. We are going to see list in our further videos. So my list, we have created one list, and now we have to iterate over this list and print each element. Now for, so we have used for loop. This is the for keyword. Inner list is a, inner list is our keyword, sorry, this is our variable. This is the in is keyword, and we have to iterate in the my list, and we have given colon. Now for inner list, so now we have given, taken the inner list, and we have iterating in my list before, for this for loop. After that we are giving one more for loop, so for element in inner list, and now we are checking for that, uh, iterate over that inner list. So this is the outer list, so this is the outer list, and in that there is a one inner, there are three inner list. So now we have to increment over this. So first of all we are going to iterate over this, so we will print. So now what will we print? We are going to print element. So element is a variable in which we are going to store the inner list elements. So we are going to iterate in the inner list. Now it will print 1, 2, 3. So now this list is ended. Now after that the flow will be go here, and after that this will be printed 4, 5, 6, then 7, 8, 9. So likewise it will perform and give the output like this. So this is the output of this code. So we have iterated in the my list. So now we have to conclude our lecture. So first of all we have seen what is the loops and why we use loops. So loops are the code to perform repetitive tasks. Then there are two types of loops. First one is for loop, second one is while loops. We have taken the examples of for loops and while loops. Then we have seen nested loops. We have seen the overview of nested loops. Then we have seen the infinite loops. So how we can avoid infinite loops, we have seen also that. Okay, so I hope guys you have understood all these things. But if you have any doubt, then you can ask in the Q&A section. I will answer each and every question. So thank you guys. Take care. Bye bye.